The biggest challenge was nobody wants your professional sports career, and then you cannot put it on resume, right? Because how would you transition into the professional? I'm talking about, like, can you become a doctor right after that? No. Can you become a
Mm-hmm.
lawyer? Can you become this and that? So anyways, it's a very challenging time. Even so, I had a degree, right? I had a law degree, so I'm ready to start the law practice and stuff. But they said, okay, but what is your experience?
Welcome to Work It, Live It, Own It, a show that explores how to upgrade your lifestyle through life lessons, real estate, and entrepreneurship. Here's your hostess, SaCola Lehr. Welcome to another episode of Work It, Live It, Own It. Today, we have a truly inspiring guest with us. Many professional athletes struggle with the transition after their sports careers end. But our guest today has not only navigated this transition successfully, but also thrived in multiple roles. He's gone from being a professional athlete to an entrepreneur, investor, and now a capital raiser. He's here to share his incredible journey of reinvention and growth and how we can all leverage our skills to pursue our passions, no matter what stage of life we're in. So please join me in welcoming Igor Shaltanov.
SaCola, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be on your show, and I'm wide open to share experience as much as I can. Thank you.
You're welcome, Igor. Let's dive in and talk about your personal journey, okay? Can you share your journey from being a professional athlete to becoming an entrepreneur and investor?
Absolutely, yeah, it's a great question. Thank you for your question. Um, so the professional athlete career, it's very hard to articulate, right? Because not a lot of people will step through that journey of being paid for sports, right? Because a lot of times it's finishing on the level of high school, right? And maybe you go up to college, which is amazing experience, but you're going to become doctor, lawyer, real estate professional, right? Or something else. And being on that journey when you play sports and receiving the money, so it's amazing because, again, a lot of times you do what you love. A lot of times, not every time, but a lot of times you do what you love and you're getting paid. It's like playing game and you're getting paid. So with that being said, it's a little bit artificial. Why? Because you don't get to interact with the real world. You don't get to draft contracts that much, right? Because you don't get to, the negotiate and stuff. It's a lot of that, like, been done for you, right? It's been given to you, and then you play, you receive money, you play, you receive money. Why I'm saying all of that? Because once your career is over, that's when the real challenge begins. Like, that's when you start to face the reality of the world. And for myself, I'm talking through my personal experience. It was just you coming up to the cliff, and now you need to jump. Like, you're jumping into the real world, and the biggest challenge was nobody nobody wants your professional sports career, and then you cannot put it on resume, right? Because how would you transition into the professional? I'm talking about, like, can you become a doctor right after that? No. Can you become a
Mm-hmm.
lawyer? Can you become this and that? So anyways, it's a very challenging time. Even so, I had a degree, right? I had a law degree, so I'm ready to start the law practice and stuff. But they said, okay, but what is your experience? Because I'm going to real job. I'm trying to get, some type of job in law, right? And then they say, what is your real time experience practicing law? I was like, zero. I say, sorry, we're not taking you, right? And then again, so that was the biggest challenge for me, how to transition from one, basically working with your physical body, into the other one, right? Which is working with your profession, right? And intellect, right? And your brain power and stuff like that. That was one challenge. And for me, it was, I was still back in Russia, right? Because I came from Russia. I was pretty good times there because I was young and playing sports. But then when I started to practice law, I thought it's about protecting people, right? And doing good things. But once I became a assistant judge in the court.
Mm-hmm.
And the learning lesson for me was, um, it's not about law, it's about the power and the money. So whoever has more power, right, and more money, so they're going to influence that decision. And it was very miserable for me position, right? I need to execute that decision. So, and once I learned that, I said, listen, so I was thinking about, I'm going to become successful, right, in the law space, and I'm going to become, I wouldn't say I can support my family financially, right? But then my real passion was in coaching kids and doing something for kids because I really love that. My first education was PE teacher and coach. So once I tried to work with kids, it was not even the work for me. It was just a pleasure and passion. So, and then, but because I didn't see myself how I can support financially my family being a PE teacher and coach, I said, listen, I got to go to law school. I finished that. And one of the lessons early on was like not following my passion, but following like more like money and following more of like what's going to give you more results in financial, right? I felt so. And again, lesson learned. My wife was professional basketball player and I was professional water polo. That's how we met together.
Mhm.
And then her family moved to United States. And then one of the days when I quit my job, actually, I started to realize I don't want to be doing law full time, right? And I'm not passionate about that. So I said, okay, let's take a break, right? I quit my job. And again, that was hard because again, it was a job. It was something I was maybe pushed by people around me, right? It's great to be a lawyer. It's great to be working in the law space, right? But I found myself internally, right? I said, listen, I don't want to do that. I'm going to quit. So no matter what. And the first guilt was like, what's the other people will tell about me, right? What they're going to say. But again, I pushed that through. And then my wife said, you know what? My family moved to the United States. Let's go visit them. And it was November. And in Russia, the toughest part was for me, I was playing professional water polo. So I was always humid and wet and it was always cold. And then I was telling my mom at the age of 7, 8, 10, I said, I'm going to move to the place where there's no winter. There's no cold temperature. And she was like, oh yeah, you'll do that. That's fine. And then I was keep saying to her every time because I was so miserable and cold after water. I said, I'm going to move to the place where there's no winter. And then I manifested to myself and my wife said, listen, my family moved to California. Let's go visit them. And it was 2010. We landed 2009, November. We landed in Los Angeles. And imagine we landed in Los Angeles after Moscow, and Moscow was like minus 20 Celsius. And then we landed in Los Angeles, California. It was like, I don't know, let's say plus 15 Celsius, right? It was about 70, 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm going, it was Manhattan Beach. I'm going on the beach and everybody in flip flops and shorts and t-shirt, everybody's smiling. And I was like, my goodness. I was like, nobody told me you can live like that. Why would you struggle all the time? Right. And you being cold and dark and stuff. So, and that was my second transition because again, it was my mental internal transition. The weather, actually, the weather played the big role of my saying, you know what, you might want to look in a different country, you might want to look in different location, right, for your future life. So I'm going to stop here.
Oh, I mean, you can keep going. It was is a great story because some of the lessons that I wanted to delve in with you is that transitional piece. You were a professional water polo player and you had a lot of lessons to learn. You thought, okay, you can't put professional athlete on a resume
Yeah.
because who's going to hire you? So you tried coaching, doing something to help kids, right? With sports. That's relatable. Okay. But then you went into law and then thinking about, okay, I can make money, I can be on the right side of the law, only to find out it's about money and power. And wow, because most that's what most people, even in this country or the United States, thinks, okay, I'm gonna go into law, I'm gonna help people, or I'm gonna make a lot of money, right? And that wasn't satisfying you. And most people dream about doing what you've done, Igor. They dream about being a professional athlete or they dream about becoming a lawyer. And I've had over 20 years of experience in education, and that's what I normally hear from kids. I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a doctor, or I want to be a professional athlete. And you said weather was a big key factor. So let's start from there. Once you got to the US, what other pivotal roles or pivotal moments in your transition occurred once you landed in the United States?
That's a great question. Um, One of the pivotal things was, and again, I think it's a lot of psychology internally. Why? Because if you professional athlete, for the most part, you employee, right? It's
Mhm.
just employment. It's just a high paid employment, basically. That's what it is. Why? Because if LeBron James is not going to step on a court tomorrow, he does have a contracts for sure with some endorsements. But if he's not doing whatever he's well known for, right, his salary is going
Right.
to go down no
Mhm.
matter what, because he's working with his body. He needs to show up there. His time is at 7 workout, at 7 p.m. next day is a game, right? It's like a high paid employment. And then from again, from employment mindset, you go into the okay, I want to be a business owner. So what's the next step basically? And then for me was like absolutely the ocean, right? Meaning so I don't know what to do. I'm not never ran the business. I never opened the business. And we landed basically in November. Again, a lot of different decisions. I called my mom saying, I'm going to go pass through real quick. So I said, I'm not coming back, which was really tough decision, right?
Mhm.
And then we went through the saying, okay, we need to get legalized in different country. How you do that, right? And we apply for extraordinary green cards because my wife and myself, we played the highest level, right? And we were like national team athletes, top of the country. So we applied for extraordinary green cards. It was super fast process. In two basically months, we received the green cards. And in the month three, we opened the business. And it was basketball academy for kids. And the reason why, because again, we had like a two ways to go. It could be water polo, but my wife played basketball. Her brother was drafted by Clippers team 2005, and we had that marketing and branding right the idea around the business and you know obviously work ethic was like crazy because the persistence and discipline and the water polo and the professional sports space, right? You can transition to your life basically for all the facets, all the aspects of your life. And what it teaches you, just teaching you work, work, work. You just work, work, work your way up, right? And then by the time everybody quit you number one. So that was just the basic idea because again, it's only resilience and perseverance and you look back, right? And then everybody quit already. And then you just the last two of you, last three of you, right? And the same was in the business space, right? We're just working for the first 5 years. I wasn't working because it was passion of mine, right? But I was just really showing up every day, really giving 150% instead of 100 or 80%, like really giving all of myself to the kids and coaching. And we opened that basketball academy and people start to feel it immediately because it's just internal passion, number one. Number two, it was just the state of flow of giving more than just receiving, because again for me it was always whoever showed up, one child or 25 or 50 kids, right? I was giving a same exact amount of whatever the experience, the energy, right? And people feel it. The good thing about it, the people feel it immediately, right? And then start to basically refer the other people, and business start to grow from one location to two locations to three locations. And then all of a sudden you became a business owner, right? You start to
Mhm.
manage people, you start to hire, fire, you start to look at the financial statements, right? And the balance sheets and cash flows. And now you need to go into another cycle of internal development. You say, okay, you became business owner and it was just a small, and then it starts to become bigger. And now you got team behind you. Now you need to be a leader. So the internal development of the leadership was huge as well. I started to sign up for different courses, different leadership groups, right? Different business groups, how to run the business properly. So, and that propelled me into the investing world. So I said, listen, if you became a good business owner, right? The outcome of that thing is always you helping more people, but then they willing to pay for that service, right? Because you giving them exceptional service, and then when they pay for the service, you if you leave humble life, you do a lot more money than you need to spend. So
Mm.
that leaves you on the table saying, okay, what do you do with that, right? So
Right.
what did the people actually do with that? And that was 2015 for me, 13, 15. So when I start to receive a lot more than I need to spend, then I said, okay, I need to go ask people. And again, that was another internal journey of saying, okay, now it's not my body working, not my mind working, but it's actually my money working more than anything else. And how do you employ your money at the rate so you can grow your wealth, right? It's not
Right.
going to be relying on my body, not on my mind, but it's going to be relying more on my actually another power, which is again financial power. So it's going to be growing. I wouldn't say by itself. You still need to manage that, but again, so it's going to be growing within you, like being present and showing up all the time and stuff like that. So
Mm.
those are just the little steps I would probably like.
No, those were not little steps. You right. You are being humble. Those were not little steps. Those were big steps, pivotal moments because you came to the country, you opened up your business, you and your wife in 3 months. And then you went from one basketball camp to multiple basketball camps. And my question was, how in the world? I know about the strength, the discipline, the mindset. You got to show up, even if there's one child versus 15, 20. But then my question was, okay, how did you raise the capital? That, and I know this is what you do now. You're a capital raiser. So could you share with us a little bit more about your role as a capital raiser and what that entails?
Thank you. Yes. Great question as well. Number one, I had that imposter syndrome, right? Because I always struggle with saying, okay, you know what? If you in the financial field, right, you got to go to Harvard University and you got to finish like multiple different financial services and courses and that and this. But then I start to realize when I hire my first financial advisor, so they did a great job again, but it's might be on always in the favor of your financial being, right? Because again, they're employed by a big company, right? And they have certain guidelines and they have certain frames, right? And that's not always aligned with personal, financial goals and stuff. So basically, I start to say, you know what? Can I educate myself better? So, and then can I go deeper into the topic? Can I become a more sophisticated, right? I'm talking about myself first.
Mhm.
And again, it led me to I feel like I'm studying the whole life, right? Because I got first education, second education, and I went through the, United States education. I went to college doing accounting, right, and the business courses, and then I went to Harvard doing like investment and financing courses and stuff. So basically, basically I dove into that financial like world. I dove into like what's going to be the best return for myself, and then I started to educate myself, and that was the beginning of my investing career. I said, listen, let me become better than 90% of the people right on the planet, so to go more sophisticated in the real estate investment world. And that was the beginning of it. But the second one was just a personal journey when the people see me doing things, and I was talking to them saying I want to buy apartment complexes, like everybody like nothing, right? I had like a bunch of single families, right, and single units investments, and it was like normal for everybody. But then nobody owned around my network back then. So I'm talking about 2015. Nobody owned apartment complex, and it was like, you know what? It's impossible. You can't do that. It's just for big guys and blah blah blah. And you got to break through that mentality. I was like, you know what? Why are they saying this? Let's go deeper. Let's find out how to do that. And we came across syndication model. Was okay, if I'm not good enough to put $20 million in the deal, so I can put like 100 to $1 million, right? And became part of it and start my learning process. Basically, respond to your question was leading with your personal example. I started to really lead with saying, you know what, I'm already owner. It's part owner. I'm not full owner, but I'm owner of apartment complex. And people start to ask me. So in the beginning, it was just an opinion, right? And then I would say 3 years past, I became a little bit more of like, I know better. Let me ask him because he's doing that, right? And then I became well known in the space. So if he's doing multifamily, you can ask the questions to this guy, right? Because he knows what he's doing. Obviously, right? Look at how he lives, what his lifestyle, what they doing, right? And then basically leading with a personal example was a huge thing. And then secondly, probably thirdly, right? The third thing was people start to realize the success in the business space first. And then they said, okay, whatever he is doing, it's becoming successful. I don't know what the secret is, but if he's going to put his money into this thing, it's going to become successful. And now I'm reflecting back on that. And again, it probably goes a lot from the discipline of the sports and then focusing on the one thing, giving 150% instead of just 100 as usual, right? And then doing the right things every day when nobody watching you. So, and that led me to all of those small successes, right? Which is building the future and then building my presence right now. So yeah, and then basically people start to ask how we can be part of your success. That's what it is. Be honest.
Yeah, I like that because you have a dream. Most people have a dream, an inspiration, do something or aspiration to do something, and then people will be like, "Oh, that that's just for the top 1%." But you didn't take that. You didn't take that as gospel. You didn't take that that's the answer. This is my lot in life. You were like, "No, let me figure out for myself what it is that they're doing and how I can be better for myself." And we are lifelong learners. You also mentioned that we're lifelong learners. You're going to learn every phase of your life and your career. So tell me, you went from single family. So you went from basketball camp to learning about financing and real estate investing, teaching yourself how to do this. And then you went from single family, multifamily. What are some projects or businesses that you are most excited about right now as a multi business owner?
Right now, right now we have a project again. It's came through what I really believe into, right? If you're looking something for yourself, right, it's going to lead you to the great product because you kind of push it through your conscious mind for yourself, and then now you can give it to the people as a product. So, and then we were doing multifamily for in 2021, right? We were investing heavily in multifamily because it was just so appealing. Everybody was talking, money was so cheap. But then because of that, I don't know if you're familiar with a bridge financing, that short-term bridge financing, short-term financing was a adjustable rate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the money was so cheap and people got cut up a little bit, right? It was a different problems like the debt service right now. It's became a lot more. So they paying a lot more that mortgage payment, right, than it used to be, right? Because they need to refinance, right, on the open market.
Right.
And because of that, and then because of different things, for example, they were not able to achieve the plan. They need to refi their project right now. So we found a couple things. One, the risk tolerance from 2021 to 2022 became a lot less. The people saying, you know what, we want to get safer.
Mm-hmm.
We're not feeling certain at this moment right now in this market environment, and then we want to get safer bets. So we willing to take a little bit less of the profit, but want to be in a safer position. So we start to look at the capital stack of each real estate deal, and then there's a senior debt, which is bank financing, right? First, which is the most secured position, right, in any real
Right.
estate deal because you have a collateral of that building. And then there's a second and third, which is mezzanine debt, some type of security, right? But still more risky than just the bank financing. And the second one on top of that, mezzanine financing, is a private equity placement. So we said, listen, if common equity, which is the retail investors all the way to the top, they receive in the most of the profits, but they take in the most of the risk, right? There's no secret, right? If you want to
Mm-hmm.
willing to risk more, so you're going to get more profit, right?
Right.
And we said we want to put our investors right now in a more secure position. Can we do mezz debt and then the pref equity debt? So we said yes, let's open the fund, which is going to be actually giving the credit, giving the money to the multifamily projects. So that way we're going to be in a more secure position. Yes, we're going to get a little bit less of the profit, right? But it's going to be like a long term, and it's going to be more like for security of your peace of mind and being able to just feel every day, you know what, my money in the right space. We have certain rules, we have certain safety, right? We got a lot of equity in the project, so we're not risking that much. So basically, we're going right now into the private credit fund, and then we'll lend in the money to multifamily. I'll stop here.
Okay. All right. So it's good that you have expanded your real estate investment portfolio. Now, I want to ask you something. If you could give any practical steps for athletes or for anyone that want to take and reinvent themselves and pursue their passions, what words of advice do you have for them?
So there's the one thing helped me a lot. It was just stay focused because again, going into the different directions and different opportunities, there's a lot of different shiny objects. So there's a lot of different things, people just saying, oh, let's go here, let's go there, and let's do this. There's an exciting project here. So, and the hardest part for myself was to stay focused, really understand what you want. Like, really, oh, you know what? I bet on this one thing. For example, for me, it was like, I bet on multifamily space. If I want to do real estate investing, right? What are you going to do? Because there's so many facets. You can do storage, you can do mobile home, or well, there's millions of things. I'm just from my personal experience, every single day, somebody's sending us a deal, right? There's millions of different things you can be part of this journey, right, on investment in real estate. But then maybe 6 months in or 7 months in into the fund operation, we said, listen, what are the core focus? What do we actually want to be well known for like 10 years from now? We want to be well known for a multifamily, right? Okay, let's focus on one thing. Let's become the best in one thing. So the people will be coming to us because they know we are the best in multifamily. So, and that focus, and I can just, again, run back in my business operations, right? There's so many facets you can go into this academy, right? You can develop one thing, the school, this thing. And so what are the people actually coming to us? Why do they like our company? Let's focus on that one thing and multiply that 10x, right? It's going to be a lot easier than just doing 10 things with 1x, right? So, and that focus, I think that's a huge piece. And if you can focus, really, number one, it's understanding what you want. That's huge, right? Number two, it's just focus on that one thing. So you're going to become super exceptional, right?
And like that, staying focused, knowing where do you see yourself in 10 years? What do you want to be known for? It's kind of like at the beginning of any business when you're starting out. You got to know, what are you good at? How have you helped people achieve what they want to achieve? And then ultimately, you'll find that sweet spot somewhere. So, Igor, you've done a lot in your time here on earth. Are there any other future goals that you see for yourself? I know, like you said, in 10 years' time, you want to be known for multifamily investing. Are there any other goals for the future for you, both personally and professionally, that you would like to achieve?
Yeah, the personally, it's, I don't know why, but it's just my kids, he's actually knocking the door. We gotta go to that high school game right now. So, but again,
Right,
I'm
right, right.
spending
Okay.
most of the time of my conscious free time with my kids, and I want to make sure when they grown older, when they have their kids, right, this is going to be a good example for them, saying, listen, so I am who I am because I spent more time with the family, right? And
Mhm.
my dad spent more time with me, right? And again, for me, it's super beneficial. It's very time consuming, right? But it's super beneficial for me. On the side of the business, my dream is to convert our basketball operations company, because my wife is still running that. She's a professional athlete. That's her
Mhm.
passion as well. She was a basketball player. To completely convert it to a nonprofit and give more opportunities for people who cannot afford the high quality education, right? And make it more accessible, I would say, right? This is my passion and the dream. So in the future, from the business standpoint.
Right. And family, I like how you put family first. You mentioned that first. And your son does have a basketball game that he needs to go to. So we're going to wrap this up. So thank you so much, Igor, for sharing your incredible journey and insights with us today. Your story is a testament to the power of resilience and reinvention. And I know our listeners will be inspired to pursue their own passions and with renewed vigor. And so, where can our listeners find out more about you and your current projects, Igor?
Absolutely. So there's a couple outlets. One is avistafund.com. You can go to the website and just check it out. There's a ebook they can download if they go to winrealestategame.com. Once again, it's winrealestategame.com. They can download ebook for free. And lastly, you can go Igor at avistafund.com and just shoot me an email. I will be happy to respond anytime.
Okay. Thank you so much, Igor. And to our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to Work It, Live It, Own It. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Work It, Live It, Own It at Instagram for updates and more inspiring content. Until next time, keep working it, living it, owning it. Take care.